Okay, we are live. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see y'all. We are with the classic old board. Back our professor started with this, and I'm going to end with this. I'm bringing in the electronics, but I've got this also. Hey, some interesting news right off that I'm going to share with you. I took a picture of it this morning. I was watching part of the uh, hold on, let me get my. I was watching part of the Rapid GOAT challenge for 2024. It's happening right now as we speak. It's here, and Magnus Carlsen is in it. Fabiano Caruana is in it. Nordebeck is beating them all, man. He is just mopping the floor with them. He beat Ding Lauren, the world chess champion, in this rapid, and he's beat Magnus Carlsen. He is ahead by, he's got 5.5 points, Nordebeck does. And Vincent Kamer is in a very interesting second place with 5 points. And Fabiano Caruana is in third. And then Alireza is in fourth. And Magnus is in a shocking fifth place right now. And then Gukesh is not doing very good. Levon Aronian isn't doing very good, and Ding Liren is only got a half a point. He in this particular rapid contest, he's really not doing very well. So anyway, this rapid contest is going on. I'll show you it's online as we speak. That's probably where everybody is because it was pretty exciting. I watched and the match I saw, I believe, was the preliminary. It was before the tournament, but Nordebeck beat Magnus in the preliminary as well. If I'm reading this right, Nordebeck has beat Magnus twice in this tournament, once in the pre-settings and in the preliminary rounds, and then once in the actual round. So, I mean, Nordebeck is on a roll, man. He is something else when it comes to the rapids. So let us take a look at what I want to do today is play around with one of my favorite chess openings. Hang on, my book is falling completely apart because I use it so much. I am going to do a quick taping up of the book. You got to keep your books together, otherwise they'll fall apart, right? Isn't that the theory? It's a theory with all books. It's one I've come up with. It hasn't been refuted yet. Woohoo! So, tape this up. I hold my books with my thumb, like this, and it tears them apart on the bottom. So that'll have to work. That'll work good enough for now. I've got this all taped up anyway, so we're good to go. We're good to go. Hey, welcome all you new viewers and you new subscribers as well. I'm getting a regular influx of new subscribers pretty much, mostly from my shorts. But if you're looking at my long content, I know I've had a few new folks who have shown up. Whoops. No, I don't want to end the stream. Where'd my comment section go? Holy cow. Hey, welcome, MH, from Chile, Scotland. Okay, I hope you're watching from inside the house. So anyway, I've been doing lives with puzzles, traps, things like that. And last time I looked at the Scotch Gambit, that was really kind of fun. This time we want to look at some Gioco Piano, the Italian game, which now, if you're watching YouTube, I've got several featured channels on my channel of some really good YouTube content creators. One of those is Grandmaster Igor Smirnov. He has a whole slew of videos on playing the Italian game. It's really fun to watch. I think when they turn to the black pieces, everybody's talking about the either the Karo Khan or the King's Indian. And now they've come up, I think both Daniel Naroditsky and Alex Bonzia, they both are doing the white Jobava London in order to defeat the King's Indian, and yet they've all shown the King's Indian from black side on how to beat the King's Indian. So they're playing both sides, and that's invaluable for us rookies, us amateurs. Hey, Brian J., good morning, sir. Welcome. It's good to see you. We're going to do some traps in the Italian. Hopefully I can keep track of this and not mess it up. I will try my golly gosh darndest. So let's get going on the pawn, king 4, pawn, king 4, knight, king, bishop 3, knight, queen, bishop 3. And now the famous, there it is, bishop c4. And this is the variation where black will also answer with bishop b4. Now, this is an older book, so I'm using the older notation. Don't freak out on me. I know you like the algebraic. I do the algebraic as I can, but yeah. So c3, and this move is a it's actually standard preparing for the d4 push, right? We've all known that he's gonna want to push this pawn right there and hit that center, hit the bishop. And so he comes out with the knight b3. And sure enough, it's the pawn queen 4. So this gets mixing up really quickly, right? We're putting tension on the center right now with the white pieces. And black is not going to back away either. Black says, all right, game on. You want to do that. So a typical response is the pawn take the pawn. And now the pawn will take the pawn, once again hitting the bishop. And standard, if you can help it, the idea here, the theme is not to go back. That's too passive, right? This doesn't, for lack of a better way of describing it, sincerely, this doesn't really attack anything. And in the process of finding something to attack, you begin to control the game. That's what they call the initiative, yeah? So rather than being passive and moving back, and this would be a complete waste of time because he's going to bump the e-pawn, right? There's the fork. So you want to keep your eyes, and yeah, I've done this. I'm speaking from experience here, unfortunately. We all have done this, right? But so this theme of your piece is attacked, if at all possible, if you can find a way to move it forward rather than backward, you're better off. And indeed, black comes up here to go check. Bishop knight 5 or b4, bishop b4. And he blocks with the knight. Now you have one of two options. Either one is playable without question. You can block with the knight. And the advantage of that is it does put the knight on its actual natural square on the third file. Yeah, up here on c3. Or you can block with the bishop. Either way is extremely playable. If you're too much of a narcissist, sadist, pain lover, you could block with the queen if you want. My advice is don't. Right? I have never seen anyone do this. It would take a gutsy player. I'm just saying. You'd have to be really, really good with the rest of your pieces, man. So, yeah, no, don't do the queen. Don't do the queen. So he does the knight. Oh, hey, would you guys do me a favor real quick? I'm using my new mic. I'm not seeing the lights flicker. Would you tell me if you're hearing this okay? I'm trying to get it to where I'm not using my computer mic. Let me know if you hear the sound okay, would you? Just in the chat real quick. Hopefully I've got everything plugged in. I think I do. So let me know. I don't want to be I don't want to be lipping this. So we come here and he blocks with the knight. And now the knight here will take the free pawn, of course. And this is standard. You don't have to freak out. Oh, hey, Brian, thank you. That is very kind of you, my dear friend. Thank you for everything you do. Your enthusiasm, continuous study of the greats in the chess world. Again, thanks for everything. Hope you can watch the Super Bowl tomorrow. Go Chiefs. Yes, yeah. Tomorrow's the Super Bowl. I've canceled my live, and I am going for the Chiefs, too. Thank you, Brian. That's very kind of you and generous. Sound is fine. Okay, thank you, Count Rockula. Oh, I love it. Count Rockula, Rich. I love it. That's awesome. Belaglovsky sub. Hey, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. We're doing some traps with the Gioco Piano. So we're learning more of the Italian game, which has a lot of YouTube support right now. Grandmaster Igor Smirnov has done a whole slew of videos on this from both sides, from the black and the white. So it's really kind of cool. So these are some of the traps out of Irving Chernev's classic book, Winning Chess Traps, that I've enjoyed through the years. So what we've got here now, and this is standard. When this happens, when this knight, if you don't, he pushed the C pawn earlier so that he could push the D pawn, hit the center. But because you didn't put the pawn on D3 and support the pawn, this is actually, when they bring out both knights, this is truly a standard maneuver. So don't freak out. I know you're looking at this. You're looking over here. You're looking at this. He's not ready yet to do some tactics, but those knights, man, when they start creeping up into your territory, you go, ay, ay, ay. Don't get comfortable with those guys. So what we have here is a complete lack of respect for that pawn. We knew that was going to happen. And good response, cancel. When your opponent, and we'll play all styles, right? You'll play a guy who is just so vigorous with just their queen, and they bring their queen out early and they attack early and they just try to take everything, right? We've played those kind of guys. Heck, man, maybe we used to be that kind. We've learned through the years that that is not the best way to play chess, however. So, but if they even start bringing in two pieces and trying to throw combinations down here and trick you into checking the king and taking the queen, etc., stuff like that, this starts getting us nervous. 9 times out of 10, for real, castling solves the majority of those problems. So again, a great lesson. This is why we want to castle. So the castling has happened. And so the next best thing, because, perhaps this is what black is thinking. I don't know. I can't read minds, but perhaps now's the time to take the knight, because there's no real way with just the knight and the bishop to put in any really fancy tactics at this point. Go ahead and take the knight and wreck his pawn structure, although he has lost that pawn already, so it wouldn't wreck the pawn structure. It would leave an isolated A pawn. So this is probably what black's thinking. He's saying, and that becomes a target. So then, if he can induce him to take that bishop, he's got this isolated pawn now. That would be a really good signal for black to start throwing out his pawns and pulling his pieces over and attack the queen side, because you want to attack that weakness, right? So there's no real tactics here anymore once you castle. See, that's the power of castling. So anyway, I'm not trying to elaborate this to death, but it's really fun to see this. Watch what white does. This is so cool. He ignores it. Now he's a piece down, and he says, forget about it. I'm gonna hit the knight. That's fun, isn't it? E5, D5. D5 is what he went. And now knight goes to E5. Right? And now the pawn takes the bishop. So there's the isolated pawn on the A. And now the knight takes the bishop. So we've had an exchange again. But white is down a piece. Pawn takes the bishop, knight takes the bishop. And now queen, queen, 4. Kablam. Ooh, that's nice. Very interesting, huh? Very, very interesting. Queen, queen, 4. And now knight comes to queen 3, and that's a question mark. So he's trying to use his knights to protect his knights because of that wonderful attack on the queen. And it was a great centralizing move of the queen, right? Yeah, he's not fully developed yet, but he has that capability. He has that potential. So now the queen can take the knight pawn, and we're going to disrupt the pawns. This will be a long-term advantage for white because he's beaten up the kingside pawn structure. Those pawns are isolated, which means they're targets, which means each one of them are going to be a weakness. So this is kind of a good move for that reason. And the queen will come to bishop 3. Okay, if the queen is going to cause that much damage, now at times, black must be feeling like the defender here. And if you are the defender, it is a good advantage to swap the queens. If you are an attacker, you want to try to keep your queen on the board because she is such a powerful attacking piece against the king. So let's see how he responds to this. He does take the queen. Queen takes queen. What this will do for him, observe the effect here. It brings his most active knight back into his own territory. There are weaknesses here. There is a weakness here and here. This pawn is pretty far advanced. They're not quite connected. He's going to have to take a move to at least put them together. They have that potential. Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting night. And now look. Rook, king 1. Open file. Rook, absolutely. And the king goes to bishop 1. There's no way to block, so he's just got to simply lose his castling right. And like we've seen before in so many other videos, this rook is going to have a harder time getting developed. And yet not this time, because there's your file and there's your king. So this instance, it's not nearly as bad of a situation. For the most times, if you can get your opponent to move his king before castling, that's why you want to castle early, tuck the king away. But if you can get that guy to move, that rook doesn't make it into play. So we'll see if he gets that rook into play. This will be kind of cool to see what happens. And now, yes, yeah, the thing to keep your eye on is the weak squares around the king side for black, I should say. Those dark squares, utilize your bishop. There's no pawn there that'll ever be able to chase that bishop away. He's there permanently unless he's exchanged by a piece. So that's the move you want. And king comes to knight 1, interestingly enough. Rook will come to king 5, which is e5. And the knight at bishop 3 is going to go to e4. So the knights are reconnected again, and he's trying to establish. Notice, though, now, and this is just based on what I've been trying to learn. One of the keys is get all your pieces out, and I sometimes I feel like I overemphasize that, but it can't be overemphasized. He could be spending his time better, perhaps, getting the bishop out and bringing this other rook out. He's still only got both of his knights out and not much of the center established. White obviously has the space advantage, but he's got 3 of his pieces out. Man, that can be significant, right? So hopefully I didn't lose my place. Rookie. Okay, and then the knight to king 5. Got to keep track of this stuff. I don't have a photographic memory like Magnus Carlsen does. Look at what this happens now. Now, see, black needs to be paying attention because he needs to be doing what white's doing, getting everything in there. Come on, man, throw the whole army in at it. You have a much, much better position if you'll do that. And he neglects to. Isn't that interesting? If you have an option of moving a piece or a pawn, you need to move the piece. But black almost doesn't have an option because he's so undeveloped on the queen side, right? He really needs to push a pawn to finish his development. And I'm not kidding. Take your lumps, whatever they are. You really need to get that bishop and king or a rook out in this game because you've got 4 pieces and they're on dynamic squares. Look at the activity. Look at the difference between this bishop here cutting off the king, which now does cut off the rook. Man, he even had the potential to put that rook on that file. The king, in my opinion, went the wrong direction. He should have come back this way. And they go, yeah, but it's all open field. Yeah, for the moment. But you really should have had that rook in this game. So this bishop is so much better than this one. There's no contest. This rook is just so much better than either one of his rooks. And now, so is this rook. The knight, they're probably about even. So as far as a dynamic power factor, White is doing a bang-up job in this. And it's no wonder we're going to see how White, because like Bobby Fischer says, out of the superior position comes better tactics. We're going to see why he's going to do so well in this game. That's a good question, Belaglavi. Why didn't White play knight g5 instead of rook e1 to challenge the defender? Well, he might get to that here in just a moment. We'll see. I think what White is doing, this knight is already doing a good job. There is a pawn here, and he's keeping track of the king side with this knight. So he's already active. But this rook wasn't active, so he pulls the rook into activity. I would suspect that's part of the reason why he hasn't yet moved his knight, but I think he will. Let's keep. Great question. Thank you for asking it. Let's keep going. Pawn, king, bishop 4 here. And now rook, king 7. And now this rook is more powerful than both those rooks combined of black. You get on the 7th rank and it's doomsday. If you get a second rook with his buddy up on the 7th rank, it's a wipeout. So now black is just flat losing. He is just in a loss. Finally, we see what I think should have happened 10 moves ago. Now, I'm not even exaggerating because this is move 18. And he could have moved that at least 8 moves ago. So is there hope? There's always hope. So let's see how this works. Knight, rook 4. So he didn't go to g5, Belaglovsky. He did not go. He's going to hit the target here. Now, of course, it's protected at this point. So the question remains, and this is the tricky, beautiful thing about knights that we all either love if we use them right or hate when we get forked by them, which I did plenty this last week. Is that what he's doing? Or is he thinking something different potentially here? Although that might not be the best spot because that just opens up the rook to attack the bishop. So we'll see. The thing to note about this move at this point is he is getting the pieces, the knight now, the bishop several moves ago, the rook up. He's getting the pieces closer to the king. Did you notice the rook is literally trapped? All he has to do is put bishop g7, and the rook is his. He'll win the exchange. Did you notice that? Very interesting. Like I say, I honestly think the king, now, come on, you should have went that way, because that just traps your rook. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So knight, rook 4, and now bishop, knight 2. Here comes the bishop. Yeah, he's got a pawn he can hit if that's going to help him, but so he's going to attack, and that's a decent outpost. Wasn't a permanent one, but it's a decent one. So yeah, hit the knight because the knight is in your territory. Try to get the knight back. So let's say hello to the knight. And now am I seeing this right? Pawn, bishop 3, he's hitting the knight, right? The knight went to king 5, e4. He's moving this knight to bishop 2. Oh, he's going to exchange. Yeah, that bishop is so crippling. Oh, mercy. Yeah, so he's willing to give up his knight and he'll take the bishop. That would actually improve black. Yeah, that's how much of a tight situation that this guy is in. Yeah, very interesting. Knight bishop 2. So he's attempting to get some counterplay, and this is what you want to do, especially coming out if you've got the inferior position. If you are more on the defensive than the offensive, if you don't have the initiative, if you are reacting to what your opponent does, which is the worst thing you can do, you've constantly got to keep your eye on that issue. You got to say, well, I can't just react. I have to have a plan of my own. I have to counterattack. And so that's, I think, what we're seeing here. I think that's why he's willing to let this one go. Technically speaking, the knight isn't attacking anything anyway that can be effective. So let that knight go. It would be better to get rid of that bishop. So I think he's trying a counterattack measure, which is really cool. And knight to bishop 2. Now the white knight takes the pawn. Yes, indeed. He takes the pawn. Isn't it interesting that rather than take the piece with the pawn, he took the pawn with the piece, and it got that white knight closer to the king? Fascinating to observe. White is not as much being materialistically minded, although that is always a good attitude. Don't get this. Don't think I'm saying don't be that way. In this instance, though, now he's covering not only the rook, in case the rook does come over now. He has fianchettoed now, so he's freed the rook. Another way to stave off the attack, black is the defender. Defenders, if you find yourself defending a position, exchange pieces. So now that the rook is developed, that just gives the rook away, though. It doesn't matter. he's still defending him. Yeah, that would not be good. I'd just give your rook away. That'd be a waste of time. Pop the pawn, perhaps. He's going to lose some material on this rank if he's not real careful. But it does get the piece closer. It does get the piece closer. It does get the piece closer. And he's trying to counterattack to eliminate that closer piece. So knight takes the pawn. And now this knight comes back. So he saved his knight, and now he's going to come back to defend. No, and the reason I'm emphasizing this, I'm not trying to talk down to you, I promise, but they say this in all the videos and all the books that I've been watching and reading, is black is still does not have the initiative, and he really is in a scramble in order to defend his king, and so he has to come back to protect the king. So, I don't know if that's a passive move, but you've got to protect. You've got to get in here. What you have to do is start getting rid of the pieces. Rather than worrying about saving the knight, he should have simply just exchanged the knight with the bishop, is what he should have done. That was a sweet knight move. You can see why he took the pawn, can't you? Because he defends both of his pieces that way. That's excellent. Rather than take that other knight, take the pawn. That's good stuff. So, and of course, yeah, you got the open file, man. And not only that, but you've doubled the rooks. Now here we can see the real damage of making sure the black king could not castle, don't we? And then he went the wrong direction when he got put in check. He should have came back this way because his rooks, black's rooks, are not connected. And so that rook over there by the king, it doesn't get to play a part at all. At all, isn't that? So in essence, black is playing a rook down. You can't win a game like that. So this is fantastic. So the rook does take the rook, of course. And of course, the rook does take the rook check. And now you own the 8th rank, not just the 7th. This is incredible. The knight will take the rook. Don't be afraid of letting that exchange happen, because you're the defender. I mean, you're the attacker if you're playing white, and you still have 2 pieces and the positional advantage. Isn't that amazing that black has 4 pieces, white has 2 pieces, but because of his superior position, he checkmates black? Wow! You kind of got to go, holy shenanigans, Batman. That is amazing. Checkmate. What a game, isn't it? So many cool things in that game. I think one of the really cool points to this game that I have tried through my games to just keep my eye open for more. And if the situation doesn't arise, perhaps I can do something to create this situation, is this bishop on the weak dark square cutting off that entire angle. See, the king couldn't move. All you have to do is deliver a check to a king that can't move, and it's over. So utilizing your pieces, the way he utilized his rooks, the white rooks, to get rid of the black defending pieces and put the final defending piece in a bad spot in order to get the checkmate, that's superb chess. So, what a great fun game. Hey, Boarlord. Yeah. It's just a flesh wound. That's my shirt. It's just a flesh wound. It's just a chest wound. These are rare, man. These are hard to find. That's why I had to put on deodorant so I wouldn't stink the shirt up. Yeah, I'm kidding. No, I mean, I'm serious. I put deodorant on, but yeah. Anyway, boy, what a subject for chess. All right, let's reset up the board. And let's do another one of these because, for one thing, you know, the Gioco Piano, the Italian game, it's one of the older openings, you guys. It really is. I mean, it's been around the block for centuries, and we're still using it. It's really cool. It's that good of an opening that even the grandmasters are still using it. And so that's cool. And there is still much that we can do through all the stages of our chess evolution into chess mastery. There's still a lot we can use in the Italian game that gets us there. And they're still playing this thing all the way up into the grandmaster levels. It has not become outdated simply because it's several hundred years old. Don't think that. Not the Italian. The Italian, you know, that's one of those that's just here to stay. That's how that works. It's here forever. Hey, Henning Lundberg. Welcome. Yes, all is very good. Yes, good point. This is a chess t-shirt. It has a knight on it. Nice. I like that. Yeah. Oh, chess is glorious, even when you have off days and off weeks. So that's a fun one to do. Let's take a look at another Italian game. This one's a little bit shorter. I'm going to suspect that black will make some of the same errors, let's say, in this game as happened in the last game. Let's see. Knight King B and the classic. Whenever you see Bishop C4, you know you have the Italian, and this is a perfectly playable variation, right? Here's what you don't want to do in the Italian. Go ahead and swing the bishop out because if you push the pawn early, you do want to support the pawn, but it is supported by the knight already. Yeah. What you do is you block out your dark squared bishop. That's not good. Yeah, you want to support the center. That's true, but the move order becomes really important here. So you don't. True, you let out your white bishop, but you can do that after you get your dark bishop out. Then push the pawn. Then you get both bishops in the game. Otherwise, you're just crippling yourself. So this is an entirely playable move. Actually, another option, you guys. This is an entirely playable move. That's some of the fun things about these openings, right? They have so many options, but really, I mean, we've got centuries of practice and analysis and theory behind the main lines. And the reason why the main lines are the way to play is because they're the ones that work the best. So here you go. Here's a good main line. Doesn't matter which color, black or white, doesn't matter. I'm just throwing that out there for you. And again, the C3 push, preparing for D4. Now, you don't have to immediately throw the D4 out there. But I have seen it where they'll castle and then they'll throw the D4 out there. So the move order in that regard is not as critical. Now, there's another option here. There's another way you can play it, but black played it with the bishop here. In a different variation, it's best to go ahead and just bop both those pawns right up there. In this one particularly, not this way. And the reason why is we have 1, 2, 3 pieces guarding that D4 square. Right now, that's black's, right? But white says, well, I don't have to let him have that. So, but in this instance, the move order would matter. Yeah. So, whoop, that was here. So this really does help fight for the d4, because now when you push your pawn, if you bump the c3, you also have your queen backing it up, you have your knight backing it up, and you have your pawn backing it up. See, you already own this square, right? The d5, that's yours. The bishop and that'll be a good knight outpost once this little squirt's taken care of, if you want it permanent. And it's deadlocked in the center. That'd be fantastic for later on in the game. So those are some of the options, but now is a great time to castle. Black is not yet castled, and there are some variations where if you can get castled early and you're a move or maybe 2 moves ahead of your opponent from castling, that is when the strategy becomes you start throwing pawns up there and immediately attack, and while the king is in the center. And that means sacrifice. If you have to sacrifice a bishop to keep the king in the center and expose him, get rid of the covering pawns, then sacrifice the bishop. If you have to throw another sacrifice of even a rook, I've seen games where they sacrifice a bishop first, then they've sacrificed a rook, then they've sacrificed the queen in order to checkmate a very open king with a bishop, a rook, and a knight. So that could become an option. I'm just showing you various different options here. Black is going to develop. Okay, so now if both players are wise, sincerely castle. Yes. However, here we go. Contradiction. Throw that pawn in there. Come on. You prepared it, use it, right? And technically speaking, this is okay because nothing is coming crashing through just yet. See, you don't see any black pieces on your 4th rank just yet. See, this is the middle line. This half is your field, I'll call it, and this half is his field, I'll call it territory. As Smirnov says, the territory, the opponent's territory. I love his accent, man. He's a great chess grandmaster. I love that guy. So technically, your king's not under attack. So it's not like it's not safe. So push the pawn, hit the center. Show me what you got. It's only a flesh wound. And sure enough, he says, oh, you want that? Okay, I will take it. So don't go into shock or apoplectic fits if he responds. If you're going to attack him, he's going to attack back, right? But this is what you want, because this sets up the theme for hit the bishop. Okay? Pawn exchange, and now this changes the character of the center. Who controls what? Once again, I'll emphasize this from the last, I'll just mention it from the last game. Going back is probably not the right idea. So go forward, check. The bishop is better placed here than it is here or here. I promise. You won't find a grandmaster on earth who would disagree with that. So do go forward. If and when you ever find yourself playing the Italian as black, do go forward. You're good. You're good. That's entirely playable. And again, he blocks with the knight. And again, the knight will then take this pawn. See, this is the pawn that's unguarded at this point because this knight is pinned. That's the effect. Now, that's interesting because without that pin, that pawn is guarded by the knight. So the pin makes that knight not guard that pawn, and that is why he will take that pawn. Don't be surprised. This is still just standard mainline stuff. It's all good. We'll get the pawn back. Don't worry about it. And now, okay, now you see, okay, just a moment ago you said from the line in the middle, he didn't have anybody in my territory. But now there's two of those guys invading. Now is a good time to castle. Sincerely, you've got to castle. That will solve 90% of any unforeseen tactical consequences that you might be in for, right? Yes. Oh, I will talk about that later, but thank you for asking. I'm going to try to get through this without losing my train of thought, but good question. The Tarish variation of this. So now he castles, which is a good thing. And again, the bishop will take the knight. Let's see if you may as well, because you've come this far. You came to here and then you continued forward. You've come this far. And yet now that the king is castled, you're not pinning anything. It's still too passive. It doesn't effectively help your game if from this point you go back here anyway. You don't retreat. Isn't that interesting? Seriously. You're too crowded. You're undeveloped. So it is better to exchange one of the pieces, which he does. Bishop takes knight, and once again, white ignores that. He bumps the pawn. Attack the knight. Now, this does several things. Number one, it pushes the pawn, which gives white more space to function. Number two, it does dislodge the knight from his natural square. And number three, it supports the strength of the diagonal of the bishop going to that F pawn, the weakest part of black's pawn lineup. Your weak part is your F2. His weak part is the F7 right there. So that is why he goes forward. And interestingly enough, black will do something interesting here. He's going to bump back the bishop. He didn't put it back in front of the king. Now the bishop is active on a better diagonal. So, and you're castled. Can you see the thing on the board that you should see every time? Absolutely. Rook E1, grab that open file. You got to target the knight. So we have that, and now the knight will come to king 2. So there's going to be a rearranging of material, and it looks like he's just giving the knight away. Rook takes knight. Castles. Pawn queen 6. Forward momentum, and it's true, past pawns need the rooks behind them, but at this point, since there is not a lot of pieces out, black's development is really not happening. So the queen, the white queen behind this pawn, is every bit as effective as if it was a rook. So you don't have to waste your time spending time rearranging your pieces, moving the queen out of the way, and put a rook behind it before you push the pawn. No, that pawn's a weapon. In fact, at this point, the passed pawn is not a passed pawn. It's a weapon. It's a dagger, and he's stabbing black with it. So this is going to be very cool to see. Pawn takes pawn. And again, notice how the momentum of white pushing that pawn yet again created some weaknesses that you can then attack. The double pawns, and they're in the center. Now, at this point, you've got to understand they do hold on to really good central squares, but they are a weakness. For instance, kablam. Now you've got your most powerful piece out there. Now, and the question arises, okay, but you've said in the past, Don't develop your queen before you have all the other pieces developed. Don't develop the queen too early, because then she becomes a target and you have a very real chance of losing the initiative. And so why are you going ahead and taking the piece? Because it's a weakness and you can, and it centralizes your queen, and black is cramped, and he really doesn't have a way to chase the queen away permanently. Anyway, he's still too undeveloped. So you're good. See, again, it's good old Jeremy Silman, man. We'll remember that wonderful man forever, because you got to read the board position, right? There is really nothing out there that's going to continually harass and bother that queen to the point of making her ineffective or trapping her. For one thing, white owns the center. For another thing, notice how he owns the center. There are no white pawns there, but there are the most powerful one representative of each of the power pieces. The queen, the next most powerful, the rook, then the knight, then the bishop. I mean, wow, come on. That's a good. Black's in trouble. Okay, so why not? So he brings the knight to a more active square. Always a good chess move. Hit the queen. Why not? Attack it, because that queen can't be allowed to not be attacked. She simply comes to here. Now, observe something about the queen that is so cool. This is what makes her the lady of the board. There's your target. And I get it. At this point, it's covered. It's all good. That's not the issue. There's a target. There's a target. There's a target. And there's a target. She is literally, because she's centralized, spanning the whole expanse of Black's army. Welcome to the power of the queen. That's interesting stuff. And now, what's this? What? Huh? No, 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 no. All right. Too late now. He should have went Knight King 2 and done a draw by repetition, is what the suggestion was. He threw the draw away. He should have come back and forth and done the repetition. But now, because he misplaced the knight, now it's time to get going. Hit the targets. Now, and again, the theme, always the theme, it's time to sacrifice a piece potentially. Knight 5. Okay. What does that do? Observe how it changes the board. And see, I have to start telling myself this in my own games, and that's why I'm emphasizing it to you guys, so that you can emphasize it to yourselves in your own games. Is why would I just throw the knight up there to let it be taken? And not only that, you guys, but it activates the bishop to an even more forward position, right? Why would he do that? Because bishop takes bishop. Watch this. And he suckered him. Queen takes the bishop. Uh-oh. I threw the bishop all the way over here, and I needed him over there. Hang on, and I'll be right back. That bishop, he's a slippery fellow. He slipped right through my hands. You got to watch these bishops, I'm just saying. So, why is that such a big deal? Did you see that one coming? Come on. This is why we love chess. But dang, I'm not going to lie to you. This is why we have to keep practicing too, because that that's above my pay grade. But what a move. See, this is how I have to. This is why I want to try to train myself to. I get better with tactics. This is incredible. Notice the queen sacrifice. What this does is that pesky bishop pins the rook, right? There you go. Checkmate. What a fantastic sacrifice. What a fantastic pin. What a terrific tactic. That is awesome. That's fun stuff. So there's another Gioco piano that has lots of goodies in it. Now, and it's not like Black made a whole bunch of mistakes and bad moves either. He just got outplayed. So let's do another one. Let's see what else fun we can learn with the Italian game. One of the well-used, one of the important, one of the very, very spectacular, solid chess openings that you can use for the rest of your life. It will never become outdated. And so it's nice to learn as much about the Italian game as you can, because you will be played by it from your opponents, and you will want to be able to play it against your opponents. And in time, we're going to want to be able to develop the approach that it doesn't matter which color we get, black or white, we are comfortable. We can play the Italian. That is the ideal. And so we study the chess traps. We study you got to study the main lines. It's also, amazingly enough, you guys, it's incredibly valuable to learn when to step away from the main line, right? I mean, if you've got a guy like Grandmaster Smirnov you're playing, who knows all the main lines, it could potentially help you have a better game and possibly win if you don't just go through those lines as far as they go, deviate a little bit and try something different, and then they're on unfamiliar territory. That's actually one of the Grandmaster strategies. Fischer did that. You remember, those of you who know the Fischer story, he always, not maybe, always started with pawn king 4, always, until he got to the candidates, and he blew people off the boards by playing the pawn king 4. Everybody knew, okay, Fischer, yeah, pawn king 4 against Petrosian. He pushed D4. And all of that study and preparation of pawn king 4 for that game disappeared. Gone. Waste of time. Psychologically devastating. And it blew the chess world's mind. I mean, the news traveled around the world faster than the speed of light. Yes, I know. Einstein said nothing travels faster than the speed of light. Yes, there is. Gossip, information. That shocked everybody. So that's what I'm saying to you. The Italian does have main lines, and we really need to know them because they are the best. But it's actually an advantage, ironic enough, to not always play the best lines against your opponent. That's what makes chess fun and worth, reading. Yes, Warlord. Excellent point. Yeah, that's why some chess masters go crazy. It's a labyrinth, isn't it? Though, for real, for real. Okay, so let's go to another one. Here is another game in the Gioco Piano. Knight, king, bishop 3, knight, queen, bishop 3, bishop, bishop 4, the classic bishop move, and the main line response, bishop, bishop 4, again, c3, the main response, and again, the knight. So we've seen this before. This is good for repetition. Let's see where they differ. Of course, you push this pawn, so you're preparing the push, pawn, queen 4, and you do realize he's not going to let you get away with it. Remember, potentially that pawn's in danger if the knight gets pinned. You already know this. Pawn takes the pawn. It is protected, hitting the bishop. You don't want to put the bishop back. You want to bring it forward, which he does. Pawn, bishop, pawn, knight, or pawn. Bishop comes out. Block with the knight, and here you go. See, we've seen all of these exact same moves 3 times now. So this is a main line. You'll want to memorize this, learn how to manipulate this. Knight's going to take the king pawn. The signal to castle. Absolutely, let's get castled. That solves 90% of any tactical issues that's going to arise. Now, here's the difference in this game compared to the other ones. From this point, black, and it's an option, says, I'm going to go ahead and continue and take that knight with my knight this time. The last 2 times we saw taken with the bishop. Now let's see what happens when you take it with the knight. This is very interesting material now, because if he hadn't castled, the king would be on that square, right? Now, if the bishop took that pawn, it would be check and forking the rook. The importance of castling shows up. So, pawn takes knight, bishop takes pawn. Of course, you're going to take the pawn. Absolutely. It's a central supporting pawn. Don't just move backwards. You got to take the pawn. Don't laugh. There's some people who would retreat, right? So, queen, knight 3. Here again, the psychological issue of ignoring the attack because you're gonna lose the rook. I hate losing rooks. I know you hate losing rooks. But he develops and he comes up with the potential. Did you notice that? He's got a battery of the queen and bishop. He is being attacked rather than respond. He in turn sets it up so he can do what? Counterattack. That is really an important grandmaster strategy. And sure enough, black ignores it. He goes, come on, it's like fish bait, right? You're fishing for lake bass and you put the right bait on, and the bass can't help it. They're going to take it, right? That's fish bait. But look, we have a major problem here in that you can't see it if you get your tunnel vision, which is unfortunately one of my main weaknesses here. Where's the white knight? Well, it's nowhere near. Ah, that's the illusion. Well, he can't get into this. That's the illusion. You remember the fried liver attack. It only takes 1 or 2 hops, and you're looking at checkmate down the loaded barrel of a double-barrel shotgun. So watch out. King has to move. Can't castle. What happens when the king moves? He's playing without that rook. Now the rook is going to be very hard to get out. In essence, black is a piece down. This is a really important thing to keep in mind. Watch, watch, watch. Develop yet another piece. Now you're hitting the bishop, but you're not developing the piece in order to retake the bishop. Ignore that bishop if you can. Get your pieces out. You've got a superb position. The king is in the open. Knight's going to come back. King 2. Notice the pure defensive posture. White's pieces are well coordinated. So black has to go on defense. Really important to notice. And here we come. There's the first hop. It's amazing how fast this happens with the knights when you're attacking, isn't it? This is so neat to see. I wish I was good enough I could do this all the time. Bishop will come back, taking the pawn. So was this an error, ignoring that bishop? Because now a grand central station, and he is just, look, he's got a target. So has white made a mistake here? Blocks, it appears he's coming right back into the game. Bishop knight 6? Really? You're going to let him take it and open the H file? You're going to put the bishop in way of the knight? Of course, because the knight is pinned. So, see, this is where we have to develop our mindset for sacrifice. The best way to open up the opponent's king is to sack a piece or even two of them. Right? It's crazy. I know you hate to do that, but you want to get to love to do it. Think like tall, not like me. In this case, hey, Kagisko Monoy, are we live? Yes, sir, we are live. Some hobo, hey, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I love doing it. And welcome to my live session. Yes, I try to welcome all the new viewers. I'm getting a lot of new subscribers, and so welcome to the chess channel. I attempt my best, my golly gosh darn best, to come live on Saturday mornings. Sometimes I have been known to go live on Sunday mornings as well. Every now and then I will go live on a weekday evening. So please subscribe and like. Please hit the like. That helps the algorithm. But also hit that little bell. I think it's up in the top of the top right of your page. There's a little bell that looks like a miniature Liberty Bell. That's your notification button. Click that, and every time I go live, it'll let you know. It'll bop up and say, hey, this yo-yo is live, go watch him. But it won't call me a yo-yo. That's my description. It's not allowed. The internet is not allowed. Okay, so we are in the middle of a fantastic tactical kingside attack here. He knows he's safe because of the pin. Never underestimate the value of the pin. And now, interestingly, when you pin a piece to the king, that's called an absolute pin. They cannot move the piece or the king is in check. So the rule, the theory is, hey, you know what? When I pin a piece, then if I attack that piece, I can win it. Ideally with a pawn, but you can attack the piece with another piece. However, with the queen, it's not an absolute pin. That knight can move. That knight actually really can take that bishop. Granted, the bishop will then take the queen, but it's not an absolute pin. Just so that you understand that. I don't know if you've ever thought that through or not. You're still getting pressure here. The rook has not gotten an open file here. Oh, how I'll bet white wishes he could just, I would be willing in the game to say, hey, you know, you want a pawn? Here, dude, take the pawn. Oh, except, oh, the pin, the power of the pin, right? Pins everywhere all over this game. Fabulous strategy, fun stuff. So, okay, enough talking. Show us what happened, cowboy. Pawn, queen, 4. Isn't it interesting that he didn't go pawn, queen, 3 to attack the knight? He went past the knight. Let's see what we can make of it. What? The pawn is pinned. White hasn't necessarily had to move the king to h1 to unpin the king so that he could press that pawn up, right? I mean, the board is pretty open. Come on. That's as open as the big field behind my house. You know, there are no trees out there. There's nothing out there. But he really has had some phenomenal active pieces out here. So it hasn't been critical to get the pawns going. And observe how safe the white king is. I mean, again, standard, boring chess knowledge, except it's absolutely essential to know. Otherwise, you're going to lose more games than you win. It's always best to keep your pawns where they are when you castle your king. Keep them in front of your king and don't push them forward. Well, now we see this. That's a great fortress, as Arthur Yusupov says, to build around your king. That's awesome. Because, yeah, he's pinning the pawn, but are you really worried about the bishop taking that pawn? No, of course not. It's perfectly safe. There is no attack on that white king. This helps open up this guy. That's the difference, the essential difference, because he couldn't castle. Again, that theme, right? Maybe that's the theme of all today is when you don't castle, expect to be attacked. If somebody knows what they're doing, man, you don't castle, they're coming after you, right? Okay, so enough talk. Come on, watch. Ta-da! Don't forget the horizontal lateral movement of your pieces, the rooks, the queens. Yeah, baby. That's fantastic. Okay, so the rook is incapable of fighting on the open file, but the queen isn't. Put her in there. Fantastic stuff. So you can't just move your king now, or you're in checkmate. You see the power of putting as many of your pieces closer to the opponent's king, because then they can effectively combine their powers to deliver some devastating tactics. Okay, that's really important. And notice who has had their pieces closer to which king than this guy. No pieces have actually ever approached the white king except this bishop. And he's way up here. And he really is not a danger. This is more window dressing, eyewash, tissue of absurdity than this guy. So this bishop is active, granted, and that's a good thing for you to have. But this bishop is active and stronger for the very powerful reason that he's closer to the king than this bishop is closer to that king. A very important point to know. Oh, and my board is swinging. I got to adjust it so it holds still, man. You're making people dizzy. So this is really good. And of course, okay, so bishop for the block. What else have you got? You can't go here. This bishop, notice the power of the bishops together over at the corner of the castled king. I mean, come on. Do this. You're going to have, your opponent will say, dude, you play some wickedly bad chess, man. You're bad. And when I say bad, I mean good, right? Because that's just dominating the entire king side. That's wonderful to see. So, of course, all he can do is block. Ta-da! Guess what? You get to exchange a piece. Woohoo! We're having fun now. Take that little puppy. And now observe too, this is a really important point also. Now there's a potential for a discovered check. And what I mean by that is the queen didn't move and neither did the king. You put a piece in front of the king to block the check. That piece was taken. Now that bishop, all that bishop has to do is move out of the way and the king is in check again. And this can be a deadly powerful tactic because now the bishop is free to take that pawn. And the rook can't take the bishop because the king has to move because he's in check. And he weakens the king side even further if that is what white wanted to do, right? So the discovered check theme here is really important to see. That's a tactic you're going to want to really take on. Sudip Bashal, welcome. Oh, thank you. Hey, username, welcome, my friend. Oh, Melissa's Mind, how are you? And Ronan the Troll Slayer. I love your handle, dude. And Leonigan. Oh, don't get mad at me if I mispronounce your name, my friend. I don't mean to. I promise. Anyway, welcome you guys. Good to see all of you. Welcome all you new viewers again. It's awesome. So this is the idea here that because of the activity, because of the placement, which equals activity, right? All of the pieces are forward. White obviously has the better ability to do stronger tactics, but he also has obviously the better ability to do a stronger attack. And interestingly, now remember, if you're the defender, and look, there are times where you can't have the initiative. Don't freak out. Sometimes you got to pull back and defend your king. Okay, I overshot the mark. I tried my attack and I blew it. Now he's attacking me. He's counterattacking me. I have to bring the forces home real quick. That's nothing to be ashamed of. Get your forces back and protect your king. But just recognize that the initiative is his. And you want, as the defender, to exchange the pieces. But white is so active that he's a piece up. There's 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I say a piece up materially. But in reality, the king is in the way of that rook. So this battle, seriously, in all abject logical honesty, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces against 1, 2, 3. And you say, come on, BYP, that's a little harsh on the black guy. He has a rook over there. Exactly my point. This guy has been amassing his pieces closer and closer to the black king in order to attack him, and he's left the rook home. You don't even have to count that rook then. If you're not going to use him, if he didn't come to the fight to help out, then he's worthless. That makes sense? That's how I would view it. And I know there are some who have argued, no, he's on the board and he is protecting the queen. And actually, there might be something to that, so I may have to gently revise. But that rook could protect the queen on a much more powerful square, or even if the queen was here and the rook was here, that would be a much better position if he would just use it, right? And I'm talking out loud like this for my sake, because I'm really trying to emphasize this in my games. Use everything you got, or just learn to love to lose. Hey, maybe that was my problem this last week. I got trounced all week long. Maybe it's because I did this. No, I did not. Anyway, okay, so now bishop, bishop 4, bishop takes the bishop, and the black bishop takes the knight. Well, it's about time. He's been sitting there threatening that knight for the last 3 moves. What are you waiting for? He's been threatening that knight for the last 3 moves. What he's waiting for is because White's position is so dominant. White has been threatening and attacking so often that he hasn't had the time to take the knight. Criminy, he hadn't even had the time to put his rook into the game. And now he physically, because White put his pieces closer to the king can't even let the rook out. He doesn't even have time to push a pawn to chase out the bishop in order to activate. Do you catch the pattern here? By the better development with pieces, with the activity of the pieces. And at one time he had a cross check over here with his queen going this direction, right? And his 2 bishops. And then he had the knight that just recently got taken, right? And you notice he didn't leave his rook here. No, serious. You look at the contrast here. That rook was very, very useful. So with the activity, the defender has less time, not more. Another reason to attack. Get the initiative, develop your pieces, and put them on active squares. I mean, that actually says it all. So, bishop, king, 6. What have we got here? Now, wait a minute. Oh, no. King had moved to bishop 1. Oh, man, don't tell me. Bishop, king, 6, check. How is that check? The bishop's not on. The king isn't on that. Uh-oh. We might have a misprint here. I'm serious. This is not my fault. Did I put that king back in the wrong spot? King, bishop 1. No, that's where he's supposed to be. See, this is the problem with doing this board live. I'm telling you, it's not my fault. Well, probably is. Yeah, it probably is. Queen, bishop 3 went there. Okay, I got that. Bishop, bishop 4 came into block. Bishop took the bishop. Bishop took the knight. That was the only white knight on there and the only bishop on there to threaten. Oh, I hate it when I do this. Bishop took the knight. So there's the bishop there because the knight was there. And now it says bishop, king, 6, check. There is no, you're looking at Dorkhood in reality. It's the discovered check theme I was ranting and raving about 10 minutes ago. Hello. See, I'm the one presenting this, and that even surprised me. discovered check, bishop, bishop 6. And now, all right, so this diagonal is open. Ha ha! But this diagonal is closed. So the bishop can't tuck into the corner and hide. There is only one place to move, is here. However, hold on, Tex. Ta-da! You can block again. Now the difference here is the bishop is supported by the pawn, by the G pawn, right? So that's a pretty good defense now. Now we've got a good defense. We hope. Yeah. Thanks, Juicer. Discovered check. Yeah, the dork eventually saw it. Wow. Well, the bishop will take the bishop. You notice something interesting? White eliminated the light squared bishop of black with this tactic. Now white eliminates the dark squared bishop with this same discovered check tactic. Really interesting how he does that. And for the life of me, I don't understand this next one. And I'm trying to, I promise. But the problem is pawn takes bishop allows checkmate in just 2. So you can't take the bishop. The bishop is, you can't do that. I mean, it's obvious. Here comes the queen and the bishop's right there, right? So the queen comes to knight 1. That's why. And of course, bishop knight 5, discovered check again. Finally, he is able to, okay, can we get an escape E king? This king is a criminal, according to white. Is he running away? Is he escaping? Get the king. That king ain't going anywhere. Queen, bishop 7, check for the love of Sam Walton. Can't go to 2 and get out here. You know what? There's no safety out here anyway. You got a queen and 2 bishops hunting your sorry butt. You're done, right? However, you don't get to bump the queen to F8 because of the rook. Don't try to checkmate him that way. Won't work. No good. However, you do have this. Woohoo! Bishop takes the knight, checkmate. So again, really fun stuff. Okay, now let me look. I've been going an hour and a half, and it's been a lot of fun. You just got here, Juzanim. Oh, thank you, Sudip. Yeah, I wish you the best with that. Yeah, trying to visualize. I've tried, and I can't visualize a banana on a banana split, and I love banana split, so I suck at that. I have to study extra hard. You guys want another one? Have you had enough? I think for username, he just got here. I know you can go back and watch the video, but while you're here live, you've got such valuable knowledge for all of us. Do you mind if I do one more? You're not going to get mad at me if I keep you longer than an hour and a half, are you? Most people don't mind having a little longer chess session if you're actually learning something and enjoying the games. And with the Italian, you can't help it. The Italian is such a fantastic established opening that it's actually enjoyable and delightful to learn everything you can possible about the Italian. It is a tried and true method of playing solid chess from either side. It doesn't matter if you play black or white. If you get good at both sides, you'll have fun building up our ELO. So, okay, yeah. Oh, it's all good, Juicer. If it'd help you guys, because I noticed the majority of the audience came at about a half hour after I started. If you want, I can begin Saturday live at 10:30 or even 11, if that would help you guys. I'll be happy to accommodate you. No, let me know. And because I start at 10 o'clock Mountain Time in the United States, which is kind of later than mid-morning on Saturday, but I'll be happy to bump it to 11 if that's helpful. Or criminy, I might be able to do it the earlier time. Maybe I could start at 9. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, let's do another one then. All right, I'm excited. I'm jazzed. Let's do another one. Let me write this down that I've done this live so I don't repeat it and bore everybody half to death. Oh, and here is another beautiful. This one's shorter, actually. There are shorter ways to checkmate in the Italian for white. Whoop, I gave it away. Wow, this is so awesome, you guys. You're from all over the world. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate your. Okay, so let's go another one. Let's do a typical Italian, and we're going to see the main line again. And like I say, the main line has been tested for centuries, so you're not wrong in following the main line for several moves in at all. We see the typical bishop responses, meeting each other, exchanging confessions of sins, etc. And now the pawns are going to come in. Once again, we've seen this in every game we've looked at today, so we're getting familiar with it. It's starting to become our friend. We're loving this. Knight, bishop 3. And look, you prepared the bump. C3, bop that d4. Go ahead and hit it up there. Expect the pawn to take the pawn, which he will without question, and you know that's going to happen. You return fire with the pawn. I hope I don't have to say return fire with the queen on this one. Don't do it. Just my advice. Go to the pawn. Go to the pawn. And again, don't go back with the bishop. Go forward. Yeah, this is all familiar territory. Let's see where we get to the point of where we learn something. Now notice we're 6 moves in, and this has been one of the standard lines. So this is really cool to see. And once again, we haven't seen any issues with the bishop blocking this. It's always been with the knight. Okay, so we're familiar with that. And that invites the knight to take the pawn. We understand that. We don't have to freak out about losing a pawn at all. And at this point, once again, 2 opponents in our area, in our territory, as Smirnoff says. I love that man. He's so awesome. I love his accent, man. And his chess is not second rate. He is top gun, man. So we castle. And okay, so last time we saw the black knight take the white knight on c3. This time we'll see that again. So this is cool because we've seen 2 different variations here. What do you do as white? And just keep in mind where black goes wrong so that we can find another variation for black. Maybe in another live, I'll do some more of that. So again, the knight takes the knight. So, and again, the only response you have is the pawn takes the knight. So this is a standard setup, and the bishop again takes the pawn. And we saw last time where he ignored the threat to the rook and pushed the queen pawn, attacking that knight in the center. And that's proper because whenever you see your opponent attacking on the wing, your counterattack needs to be in the center. That's a standard fundamental that I always have to remind myself of. We saw this last time. Queen knight 3, a beautiful square. Fantastic response here. But what happens if instead of the rook, the bishop takes the central pawn? Here's the difference from the last game. Forgot the battery. See, this is so cool. This is so interesting because your queen coming to the B helps set up that battery, and it also gives you the initiative, and it also threatens the bishop. So it's a multi-purpose move, and it also keeps an eye on his b pawn. Now, of course, it's covered by the bishop, but in future use, what he's doing is he's telling that white squared bishop, you don't get to go travel out in the countryside and enjoy the beauty of Mother Nature. You got to stay home and babysit that pawn, or I'm coming in. So this is a terrific multi-purpose move. And we're seeing one of the purposes right here. Check. King will go to b1. Really, seriously, you got an open file here. I don't know if I would want to come up and out. You've got a queen here that's absolutely wide open, able to come in, come to here, centralize. And so, yeah, go back. You're not going to escape coming out front. And maybe, hopefully, potentially pushing pawns to dodge back and forth between, or hurry up and bring a knight. You're not going to be able to hurry up and bring a bishop in an open field when the bishop and the queen and now the rook is available to get you. You're just forced to move back, and once again, that helps not develop his rook. But look at how the bishop is cutting off the king. G8's not available. E8's not available. All you have to do is put the king in check and the game's over. That's how critical this is for black. He's got to do something, and I don't mean next week. Again, develop. Yeah, develop. Put the bishops out there, put the knights out there, put the rooks to work. Have the lovely little lady doing multi-purpose material, not only affecting the development, but stopping even the pawn pushes and minimizing these two. And it's only these two in here because he didn't castle. That rook's not going to play. The queen can't do a lot right now. She's basically stuck. In fact, she's doomed if black doesn't figure something out really flippin' quick. And that's all that bishop's good for. That bishop has accomplished nothing for black. And you're going, well, that's a little harsh. No, I'm not. It just basically got the field opened and the queen to an absolutely magnificent position. Truly fabulous. So that guy's almost a traitor. Oh, that's harsh, BYP. Which rook? I always tell myself in my games, even whether I win or lose, if I ever get to the end of the game and my rook, and it doesn't matter which one, black or white, if my rook is still on its A square, I have to hang my head in shame. Why did you leave him there? Don't do that. No. Use him. Why not? Because, look, once the knight comes up into here, however he decides to bounce, you have a pawn, you can just shoot him up there as fast as you can, and the rook is behind the pawn, and now you got the other rook on, guess what? Ta-da! The open file! Open file! Wonderful setup. Black's lost. This is completely losing for black. Again, we see that theme. The knight came out, monkeyed around, and now he has to come back to defense. He's done nothing useful. He's not even on a good square to defend, right? He's on the wrong square. Oh, my. So check this out. Let's bring back the bishop. Now, last game, we saw the power of the bishops when they were together vertically. It's the same swath if they're horizontal and they're combined and they're on the king's side. It's the same power with both those diagonals. That king is stuck in the corner. And that rook is doomed. He'll never see the light of day. So he's playing the rook down. It's way worse than that, though. He doesn't even have a prospect. You have to make a couple of pawn moves, of course, to develop your pieces, but he doesn't even have the prospect for 3 more moves to get his rook into somewhere useful. His other rook, let alone his bishop, you still have to bump a pawn and then move the bishop. And fianchettoing the bishop is not going to do anything for you. Right? Black is lost, is what I'm trying to tell you. Black is lost. Bishop rook 5, fantastic move. Okay. Now, luckily, he hasn't been trying to push those pawns to activate this rook, because now they do come into good play. Block those bishops. Look, as black, the only thing I would be thinking at this point is I will be willing to almost trade my queen for those bishops. Man, I gotta try to swap again. If you're the defender, exchange the pieces. If you're the attacker, try to maintain the pieces. And that's what we're actually maintain them, because they're still really excellent pressure. You notice white was not in a hurry to take the dark squared bishop just yet. Notice that. Notice the queen has now this phenomenal diagonal, but it's not like white is out there exchanging the pieces. He's just applying the pressure. That's a really good concept to see. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Once again, who's not pulling their weight? Who's not pulling their weight on the white team right now? You know, it's we want to win this Super Bowl of a game. We're even going to put the water boy in there to play, right? Who's the weak piece here? Huh? Come on, speak up. You in the back, raise your hand. Come on. I know you know the answer, Bubba. Tell me. Who's the piece that's not doing diddly squat right now? Right? Oh, there you go. Bela Glovsky for the win. Boom. Right on, brother. The knight. Oh, yeah, he's out there looking cute, prancing around in his small field, but it's time to make him go for a gallop. Very good, very good. Now look at the difference. The difference a knight makes. Because the bishop can't take him, or you lose the queen, and the knight can't take him, or you're going to get a really vicious losing the queen tactic, because you got the bishop covering the important e8 square, and you got the bishop hitting the d8 square, and you've got a rook on the open file. What a glorious combination. So why would you exchange such an exquisite bishop for a mere punk knight? No, just leave the pressure. Well, why exchange a bishop that is so much more active for a mere punk defensive bishop when you can bring in another piece and even apply the pressure greater? Because guess what he's looking at? Did you notice? Mate in one. Black's got to do something. The value of not exchanging the pieces when you're the attacker cannot be better illustrated than what I'm showing you right now. What a great lesson. What a cool thing to know, right? I mean, seriously. He's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He still has 6 pieces, man. We're in the end game. He has 6 pieces, every one of them out. And black has 2 of his out. And it's not even a queen. His most powerful piece didn't even enter this game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 of them are still home. We see this time and time again, and there's the pattern. That's the power. That's the beauty of studying the Grandmaster games, right? Yeah. Okay, so quit glorying, and no, that is glory. Knight, king, 5. Well, the knight takes the knight after all. Honestly, no choice. You can't let him amass that. It's checkmate in 1. The piece that was supporting the checkmate, or the knight, sorry, I pointed over here. The knight that was supporting checkmate, it's got to go. The cost of this is enormous. Look how this shifts the dynamic. It was a wonderful combination of a knight that has that funny L shape move to it, right? So the knight was covering this square for the queen. So the combination was the queen and the knight. Now that's out. The knight took the knight. Now the rook retakes the knight. And now the combination, the power, shifts from this square with the queen and knight to this square, E8. Instead of F7, now it shifts with the change of the guard between different pieces, the bishop and the rook. You can get the queen for a bishop and a rook, but isn't there a better play? That square is still available. So black was forced to exchange one of the defenders, and it didn't solve the problem. I just wanted you to see there's a change of dynamic. What the exchange did is, instead of being able to focus on just one dominant square, now he's got 2. But don't change off your pieces. You don't have to put the rook there to change off the queen. The queen is useless anyway. So quit worrying about it. It's not like she's out here wreaking havoc like this little mistress of the land is. She's doing a fantastic job. Her king is home watching her on TV, yelling how proud he is of her, right? He's home playing chess on YouTube and every now and then changing the channel to make sure his wife's okay. Because typical man, he's lazy. Oh, no, that was bad. Come on, I'm having too much fun. I love this kind of crap. I can't help it, all right? It's just the way it is. So, rook takes knight. And you say, well, isn't that threatening? Of course not. You mean you're going to take a rook and lose your queen? The power of the pin. And notice that white is making the stronger moves against the black, so the black has to reply. So black hasn't even had the chance, the time. He doesn't have the time to even exchange the attackers. They're all still here. The only exchange he got was his knight. Everything else is still here because of how black's play. Again, I know it's a common theme. I didn't invent it this way. This is how chess works. Don't yell at me for boring you, telling you the same old stuff. The pieces of white are closer to the king than the black pieces are to the opposite king. The white pieces are almost closer to the black king than the black pieces are. There is not nothing close to the white king at all. Is that not blitzoid crazy? Just observe that. That's fun to see. That is spectacular to be able to see. So that's enough. Okay, now I'm boring you. Pawn, king, knight 3. Now you're forced to bump. Pawn, king, knight 3. Bishop, rook 6. Again, ignore the threat. Well, I don't want to lose my bishop. I need to move my... No! You don't need to move your bishop at all. This changes the dynamic. This is proof that pushing a pawn in front of a king like this that's on the side creates weaknesses. But you have to do that. You have to threaten that bishop. But now the dark squares become weak. You do have the dark squared bishop. Don't move your bishop out of the way in a passive retreat. Move your bishop forward and go check to the king. That's how to play wickedly good chess. I am seriously attempting to put this kind of stuff into my games. King comes to... No, you can't do that, dude. No, bishop knight 2. Pawn, king, knight 3. Bishop, rook 6. Bishop blocks. Bishop, knight 2. Rook. Come on. You can't help but just love this kind of stuff, right? Okay, we've still got a few people here still. Now the rook gets to play the idiotic game of saying, I laugh with mockery at the power of your pawn to take my king, to take my rook. I don't even care about that pipsqueak. I am going to put you in check. A forcing move that black continues to have to react to. Fantastico. King to king 2. Rook to king 1. And now absolutely everybody gets to join in the party of singing happy birthday to the black king as he exits this game in complete checkmate. King comes to queen 3. Checkmate. Fun stuff, man. Stuff like this just makes chess worth playing, doesn't it? Lots of cool lessons, a lot of the same lessons. I'm really glad that we focused on the Gioco Piano because it gave us a standard theme that we can play through 5 or 6 or 7 times so that we can get used to the Gioco Piano, both as white and black. Now, granted, this time we've seen all of the advantages that you can get playing the white pieces. But as you study this, rewatch the video several times, you can now see what not to do as the black pieces in the Gioco Piano. Now, who is it? Smirnov, and I think Bonzia, the Romanian. Alex Baby, I love that kid too. He is spectacular. Levy, Gotham Chess, I love that kid too. He's spectacular. I do believe they have videos of fighting against the Italian. Well, I mean, I know they have videos, but if I remember right, was it the King's Indian? They showed the advantage of using a King's Indian both against the, I think it is the Italian and the London, interestingly enough, when white plays the London. So if the white Italian has some really terrific stuff, but that doesn't mean that black always has to play this way and get walloped like this. I do believe there's videos out there. In fact, I might just study those videos and I might make the videos my own self and give them to you. So one of those, don't go to them great guys, come to me, a mere learner. Hey, at least I'm as enthusiastic as they are, if nothing else works. So, yeah, it really is. It's fun. Oh, well, thank you, Ronan. I've got to get more active on Instagram. I really do. I've been neglecting my account for far too long. Oh, Borlord, you're Bronx, New York. Awesome, man. So hey, Bionic Widow, welcome. Longtime viewer, love the content. Eric Rosen is great for learning. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Eric Rosen is the other one. I really did intend to mention that guy. He's good. Oh, he is so nice. He is awesome. I mean, even when he gets angry, it's so hilarious because he goes, "Oh, that was so mean." And I'm not mocking him. That man is genuinely nothing but nice and powerful at chess. Really a good guy. Yeah, I love his channel. Thank you for mentioning him. Absolutely. Eric Rosen, look him up, man. Yeah, good stuff. All of these guys are good. I mean, we live in a fantastic age, don't we? Okay, look, you guys, I'm approaching 2 hours. It is Saturday. I know some of you are in your evening across the ocean. Others of you are saying, dude, quit taking up so much time. I have a Saturday to go goof off and play golf or whatever. Actually, we're probably all trying to either shovel the snow or drain the swamp because of all the nasty floods in the eastern United States. I hope none of you were harmed or injured or hurt. I hope none of you are facing disasters, man. It's the weather this year has been so freaky weird. So I'm going to call it good for now. Thank you for all your support. I appreciate your subscribing. Please hit the like button. It really does. The way this algorithm is set up, it makes a difference on getting the video out there to more people so that they can enjoy this content too. As always, keep track of my channel. I throw out videos at random sometimes in an evening when I've got a few minutes, and I will keep you informed. I am going to go watch the Super Bowl tomorrow. Sorry, it's one of those. I actually do not watch football during the season much. I just use the Super Bowl as an excuse to pig out on good quality food that makes you gain weight and hurt your heart. For one day of the year, I can get away with that. Hey, good news. I have lost 4 pounds this last week. So I'm on the way back now. I know I say this about every third month or so, but this time I'm serious. I got to lose some weight. So absolutely, username. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you coming in. From Karan Arsan. Thank you. Greetings from India. Welcome. Welcome. Oh, thank you, Subin. Oh, Karan, you're awesome. Okay, you guys, love y'all. I got to go, though. Stay tuned. I will have a boatload, and I don't mean just a small fishing boatload. I mean a gigantic cruise yacht boatload of great chess coming up this year, next year, the year after, and the year after, and the year after. You're stuck with me, and I'm grateful to have you with me on this journey. So awesome, awesome. Oh, good, Ronan. Let's diet together. That'll be fun. We'll compare. Good on you. Proud of you, man. Okay, I got to go, you guys. Hasta la vista, baby.